Have you ever noticed how some people never flex, never talk about money, never chase attention, yet the moment they enter a room, everyone subconsciously respects them? It's not their clothes, it's not their job title, and it's definitely not what they post online. It's a set of quiet behaviors that signal control, confidence, and status without saying a single word. Most people never notice these signals, but once you do, you can't unsee them. And more importantly, you can learn to use them.
Point 1. Calm confidence without performance. The people with the highest status never try to look confident. Their calm does the talking before they say a word. Rule 1. They don't try to impress. They assume their presence is enough. Most people walk into rooms with invisible pressure on their shoulders. Pressure to be liked. Pressure to be noticed. Pressure to sound smart, interesting, or important. That pressure leaks out. You see it when someone talks more than necessary, over-explains simple ideas, jumps into conversations too fast, forces humor or enthusiasm, shares personal stories too early. This is not confidence. This is impression management. People with calm, high-level confidence operate from a completely different internal position. They don't enter rooms asking, "How do I come across?" They assume they already belong. Because of that, they speak less but with intention. They don't rush to fill silence. They don't feel the need to prove intelligence. They don't chase attention or validation. They understand something most people don't. Trying to impress lowers perceived status. The moment you try to sell yourself, people subconsciously ask, "Why does this person need approval?" Calm confidence comes from removing that need entirely. They trust that consistency beats performance. Presence beats volume. Time reveals value. And ironically, the less they try to impress, the more people lean in. Rule 2. They remain emotionally steady when attention or pressure increases. This rule separates real confidence from fake confidence instantly. Many people seem confident until pressure shows up. When attention turns toward them, you'll notice faster speech, tighter body language, defensive tone, overreaction to small challenges. That's confidence collapsing. People with calm confidence do the opposite. When attention increases, their voice slows down, their posture stays relaxed, their tone remains neutral, their reactions stay measured. They don't rush responses. They don't panic-fill silence. They don't emotionally spike when challenged. Why? Because emotional control is status. Someone who stays calm under pressure communicates self-trust, psychological stability, leadership energy, non-reactivity. Humans are wired to respect regulated nervous systems. We trust people who don't get rattled. That's why calm individuals are often seen as leaders even when they say less. They don't need to dominate conversations. They don't need to win social moments. They don't need to defend their position aggressively. Their calm signals, "I'm not threatened," and that signal alone changes how people treat them. Key takeaway for point 1. Calm confidence is not about adding behaviors. It's about removing excess. Remove the need to prove, the fear of silence, emotional reactivity, approval seeking. What remains is presence, and presence quietly outranks noise every time.
Point 2. They speak with precision, not verbal noise. You can hear someone's social level before you ever understand their message. It's hidden in how clean their words are. Rule 1. They think before they speak, not while they're speaking. Most people talk to discover what they think. Upper-class communicators think first. then speak. That difference changes everything. When someone hasn't organized their thoughts internally, it shows up as rambling. Long, winding sentences, constant filler words like like, you know, backtracking mid-sentence, over-explaining to fix confusion. This kind of speech signals mental clutter. People who speak with precision operate differently. They pause before responding, even if the pause feels uncomfortable to others. Why? Because they respect accuracy more than speed. You'll notice they use fewer words to say more, finish sentences cleanly, avoid unnecessary details. Don't talk just to stay relevant. Their silence before speaking isn't hesitation, it's organization. They understand that every word either adds weight or subtracts credibility, so they don't release thoughts until they're shaped. This creates a powerful effect. People listen more closely because the speaker doesn't waste attention. In conversations, meetings, or negotiations, precision builds authority faster than enthusiasm ever could. Rule 2. Their language is intentional, not emotional. Here's a subtle but critical difference. Most people let emotion drive their language. Frustration creates exaggeration. Insecurity creates justification. Excitement creates chaos. Anger creates bluntness. That emotional leakage lowers perceived status instantly. Upper-class communicators separate emotion from expression. Even when they disagree, their language stays neutral, measured, specific. Instead of saying, "That makes no sense," they'll say, "I see a gap in that logic." Instead of, "This is a mess," they'll say, "This needs restructuring." Instead of, "You're wrong," they'll say, "I see it differently." This isn't softness, it's control. Precise language does three things at once. It reduces conflict, it preserves authority, it keeps the speaker emotionally untouchable. People who speak this way don't escalate conversations, they guide them. And because their words aren't reactive, others feel less defensive, which gives the speaker even more influence. Precision is not about sounding smart, it's about not sounding unstable. Key takeaway for point 2. High-status speech isn't louder, longer, or more dramatic. It's cleaner. People who speak with precision respect attention, control emotion, choose words carefully, let silence work for them. They understand one core truth: the fewer unnecessary words you use, the more value each word carries. Point 3. Their appearance signals value without asking for attention. You can tell who has real status by how little their clothes are trying to prove. Rule 1. They dress for longevity, not visibility. Most people dress to be noticed. Upper-class individuals dress to be remembered. That difference changes how every outfit is chosen. Middle-class and insecure dressing follows trends. Loud logos, seasonal colors, statement pieces, outfits designed for photos, not life. This type of clothing expires quickly. What looks impressive today looks desperate next year. Upper-class dressing follows a completely different logic. Neutral colors, clean silhouettes, high-quality materials, timeless cuts. Their clothes don't chase relevance, they outlast it. You'll see the same coat worn for years, the same watch for decades, the same shoes replaced only when they're worn out, not when trends shift. Why? Because they see clothing as infrastructure, not entertainment. Just like a well-built house doesn't need constant redesign, a strong personal style doesn't need updates every season. This signals long-term thinking, financial patience, identity stability. People subconsciously read this as this person isn't trying to reinvent themselves for approval, and that creates respect. Rule 2.
Quality is felt, not announced. Here's something most people miss. Upper-class clothing rarely looks expensive at first glance, but it feels expensive up close. The fabric drapes better. The stitching is cleaner. The fit looks intentional, not accidental. There are no giant brand names because branding is unnecessary when quality speaks. Logos are used to borrow status. Upper-class individuals already have it. That's why they avoid flashy monograms, over-designed patterns, trend-driven exaggeration. Instead, they rely on fit, texture, consistency. Someone wearing a perfectly fitted Jane jacket will command more respect than someone in head-to-toe designer logos. Why? Because confidence doesn't advertise itself. Also notice this: they don't constantly buy new clothes. They buy fewer pieces, but better ones. This creates visual consistency, a recognizable presence, a sense of restraint. Restraint is one of the strongest status signals in society. Anyone can spend money loudly. Very few people can afford to be subtle. How this affects perception, even without money. Here's the part most people don't realize. You don't need wealth to apply this rule. You need discipline. You can own fewer clothes, choose neutral colors, focus on fit, avoid logos, and instantly raise how people perceive you. Because people don't evaluate outfits by price, they evaluate them by coherence. Messy style signals messy thinking. Clean style signals order. Order signals control. Control signals status. That's the chain reaction. Key takeaway for point 3. Upper-class appearance follows one principle. Never let your clothing speak louder than your presence. They dress to last, to blend into any environment, to feel confident without attention, to remove distractions, not create them. Their style doesn't say, "Look at me." It says, "I don't need you to."
Point 4. Their relationship with time signals power, not pressure. Watch how someone moves through time. It will tell you everything about their status before they ever speak. Rule 1. They never appear rushed, even when they're busy. Here's something most people misunderstand. Upper-class individuals are not less busy. They're often more busy, but they never look busy. Most people move like life is chasing them. Fast walking, rushed speech, constant checking of phones, apologizing for being late, overbooking their schedules. This behavior signals one thing very clearly: lack of control. Upper-class people operate on the opposite frequency. They move calmly. They walk with intention. They speak at a steady pace. They pause without discomfort, not because they don't care, but because they plan. They build buffers into their schedules. They arrive early. They leave margin between commitments. Why? Because rushing communicates poor preparation, emotional urgency, reactive living, and urgency is a low-status signal. In high-status environments, the person who controls the pace controls the interaction. That's why leaders don't hurry, executives don't scramble, decision makers don't panic. They understand that speed is not power, control is. Even in stressful situations, their calm pace communicates, "I have options. I'm not cornered. I'm not desperate." People feel this instantly, even if they can't explain why. Rule 2. They treat time as a scarce asset, not something to fill. Most people treat time like an empty container that needs to be filled. That's why you see constant busyness, overscheduling, saying yes to everything, filling silence with noise, filling free time with distractions. Upper-class individuals treat time differently. They see it as currency. They protect it.
They don't over-explain why they're unavailable. They don't justify boundaries. They don't feel guilty for saying no. You'll hear phrases like, "That won't work for me," "I'm unavailable that day," "I'll have to pass." No long excuses, no emotional explanations, no apology tour. This signals confidence and self-respect. They understand something most people don't. If you don't protect your time, others will consume it. Also notice this. They don't stack obligations back to back. They leave space for thinking, for recovery, for reflection. That space is not laziness, it's strategic margin. Margin is where clarity lives. Margin is where better decisions are made. Margin is where stress disappears. People who grow up around real wealth learn early that exhaustion is not impressive. Calm capacity is the hidden signal most people miss. Here's the part that really separates social classes. Upper-class people don't brag about being busy. They don't say, "I'm slammed," "I'm exhausted," "I never have time." That language signals overwhelm. Instead, they'll say, "It's been full but manageable. I'm prioritizing a few things right now. I've structured my time carefully." Same workload, completely different signal. One sounds stressed, the other sounds in control. And people trust the one who sounds in control. How this changes how people treat you? When you move without rushing, people slow down around you. Conversations feel more serious. Your words carry more weight. Your presence feels grounded. People subconsciously mirror pace. If you're frantic, they feel permission to dismiss you. If you're calm, they adjust. This is why calm leaders command rooms without raising their voice. Time control is social dominance without aggression. Key takeaway for point 4. Upper-class time behavior follows one rule. If you look rushed, you look replaceable. They plan ahead, protect margin, say no without guilt, move with composure. Let others feel the pressure, not them. They don't chase time, they own it.
Point 5. They master emotional control, boundaries, and silence. The highest social class isn't revealed by what people say, it's revealed by what they don't react to. Rule 1. They stay calm when everything around them is chaotic. This is one of the strongest, clearest signals of upper-class behavior. Most people lose emotional control under pressure. Small inconveniences trigger big reactions. Delays turn into complaints. Mistakes turn into blame. Stress turns into emotional leakage. Upper-class individuals operate differently. They don't panic. They don't explode. They don't dramatize problems. When something goes wrong, their response is simple. "All right, let's handle it." This calmness is not weakness, it's emotional authority. People who can regulate themselves during chaos send a powerful message. "I'm stable. I've handled worse. I'm not threatened." Emotionally reactive people feel unsafe to others. Calm people feel trustworthy. That's why leadership, wealth, and composure are so closely linked. Upper-class individuals understand something critical. Losing emotional control lowers your status instantly. They process emotions privately. They respond publicly with clarity. This doesn't mean they don't feel stress. It means stress doesn't control them. And in any social or professional environment, the person who stays calm becomes the anchor everyone else follows. Rule 2. Their boundaries are clear, quiet, and non-negotiable. Here's something you'll notice immediately once you start paying attention. Upper-class people don't over-explain themselves. They don't justify decisions, over-apologize, defend boundaries, trauma dump, overshare personal struggles. Their boundaries are clean. They'll say, "That doesn't work for me. I'm unavailable.
"I've decided to go a different direction." And then they stop talking. No emotional follow-up, no guilt-driven explanations, no need for validation. Why? Because explaining too much signals insecurity. People with strong boundaries don't need approval. They assume their decisions are valid. This creates social gravity. Others adjust, others respect it, others think twice before pushing. Upper-class boundaries are not aggressive, they're not rude, they're simply firm. And firmness without emotion is one of the strongest power signals in human behavior. You'll also notice this: they don't rush intimacy. They don't overshare life details. They don't force closeness. They let relationships unfold naturally. This creates mystery, and mystery increases perceived value. The less you give away emotionally, the more others assume you're important. Rule 3. They use silence as a tool, not a weakness. This is the rule almost nobody understands, and it might be the most powerful of all. Upper-class individuals are comfortable with silence. They don't rush to fill awkward pauses, defend themselves immediately, respond instantly, win every argument. Silence gives them leverage. When someone insults them, they don't react emotionally. When someone challenges them, they pause. When someone overshares, they listen quietly. Why? Because silence forces the other person to reveal themselves. Most people talk too much because silence makes them uncomfortable. Upper-class individuals let silence do the work. In conversations, silence makes others explain more. Silence slows the pace. Silence signals confidence. People subconsciously assume if they're not rushing to speak, they must not be threatened. Silence also protects energy. They don't argue online. They don't correct everyone. They don't engage in low-level drama. They understand not every reaction deserves access to your attention. Attention is currency, and they spend it carefully. How these 3 rules work together. Calmness plus boundaries plus silence create a powerful presence. Together, they signal emotional maturity, high self-respect, internal stability, and social confidence. This combination is impossible to fake long-term. Anyone can wear nice clothes, anyone can memorize etiquette, but emotional regulation, boundaries, and silence require inner discipline. That's why these behaviors are so closely associated with the upper class, not because of money, but because wealth often removes urgency, and urgency is what causes emotional chaos. Key takeaway for point 5. Upper class behavior follows one deep principle. The less reactive you are, the more powerful you appear. They stay calm under pressure, set boundaries without explanation, use silence strategically, protect emotional energy. Never let chaos pull them down. They don't need to dominate. They don't need to prove. They don't need to perform. Their control speaks for them.
Here's the real secret most people never figure out. Upper-class behavior has nothing to do with money. It's about self-control, calm reaction, clean boundaries, intentional silence. These habits cost nothing, yet they quietly decide who gets respected, trusted, and listened to. If you apply even a few of these behaviors consistently, people will treat you differently without you explaining a single thing. If this mindset helped you see status and confidence in a new way, subscribe to Mr. Dollar for more content like this. And comment Mr. Dollar if you truly understood the message, not just watched it.